You walk into the living room. Maybe it's 11 p.m., maybe earlier. You're tired, half buzzed on quiet. The house is still, your thoughts louder than usual. The TV hums to life. You grab the remote, fade into that familiar flow. Home screen, apps, networks, streaming tiles stacked like candy-colored invitations. But there's a strange pause, isn't there? A flicker, a delay more jittery than gentle. For a quiet second, it feels like the screen is seeing you back. Maybe that's just in your head, or maybe it's the part you didn't read. The settings you scrolled past, the box you never unchecked. Because somewhere between power on and press play, it became less about what you wanted to watch, and more about how you could be watched. Smart TVs in 2025 aren't just watching shows. They're watching you, your habits, your mood, your preferences, your patterns, up late, up early, multitasking, binge watching, muting, fast forwarding, even that moment you leave the room for water and forget to hit pause. It all leaves a mark. And here's the part that feels surreal. This is by design. Most people think their smart TV is just a passive screen, a vehicle for Netflix or YouTube or background noise while folding laundry. But these screens are gathering data constantly, silently, persistently. It's not paranoia, it's policy. Most major smart TV brands, including household names you grew up trusting, quietly track extensive user behavior under the term screen interaction data. Some even monitor your voice when you're not actively using voice controls. It's in the fine print, buried under user agreements you accept 5 seconds after unboxing. And yes, there are reasons given. Personalized content, improved user experience, relevant advertising. But what it really means is this: your entertainment is being monitored, modeled, and monetized across multiple layers you can't fully see. Let's get even more specific. Samsung's 2025 Smart Hub series doesn't just track what apps you open. It tracks how long you linger on each thumbnail. It can identify which household member is most active during certain times using behavior patterns. Its ACR, Automatic Content Recognition system, matches what you're watching, even if it's coming through HDMI or a live cable feed, to third-party data brokers. Sony, LG, TCL, Vizio, almost all major players use some version of this. Want an eerie fact? As of early 2025, over 85% of new smart TVs come pre-enabled with ACR tracking. And turning it off usually requires digging through a maze of settings. On some models, you can't fully disable it unless you disconnect from Wi-Fi altogether. Think about that. To use the product you bought, you have to allow yourself to be observed, and it doesn't stop at what you watch or say. Motion sensors built into higher-end models detect movement in the room to optimize lighting. Some TVs auto-adjust volume or contrast based on ambient sound or light. Sounds helpful, right? Until you realize that every sensor is another eye, another ear, another way in. Now ask yourself, what happens to all that data? Because here's what's rarely explained. Smart TVs don't just collect the data. They sell it. They trade it. They feed it into ecosystems you don't control: ad networks, marketing firms, AI training models, cross-device user profiling. That moment when you mention a movie to a friend and the trailer shows up 4 minutes later on your phone? It's not magic. It was a handshake behind your back. Here's the catch. Most people don't know. Or worse, they know and assume it can't be helped. And maybe that's the most dangerous part of all. Not the watching, but the quiet acceptance of it. You have nothing to hide, they'll say. It's just data, they'll argue. As long as it's free and working, what's the harm? But harm doesn't always look like a dramatic breach or scandal. Sometimes, harm is the slow erosion of privacy, the normalization of being observed, the quiet loss of agency in your everyday tools. Because what starts with TV data doesn't end there. TV behavior links to advertising profiles. Advertising profiles link to your phone. Your phone links to your search habits, your conversation keywords, your car's smart system. Suddenly, you're a person-shaped pattern shared across dozens of platforms. Not a human, a harvest. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. Some TVs now use facial recognition or behavioral detection to predict who's watching and cater ads accordingly. In Korea, a 2024 LG prototype read facial expressions in real time to gauge ad effectiveness. That model hasn't hit Western markets yet, but it's coming. Engineers brag openly about sentiment-based content delivery. That's the near future most people are walking into without reading the terms. One minute, you're watching a nature doc with your kid. The next, your TV's eye is analyzing whether you're bored or engaged, or emotionally vulnerable. Not just to shift what it plays next, but to sell that insight to someone, somewhere, who doesn't know your name, but knows what makes you click. It's chilling, not in a sci-fi way. In the now, it's already happened way. But here's where the power quietly returns to you. You are not helpless in this. You can ask smarter questions. You can dig into settings. You can choose models that offer better transparency and privacy controls. Smaller brands like Telly and Skyworth are advertising privacy-first models now. No cameras, no microphones, offline modes by default. Or you can skip smart features entirely and plug a basic display into a streaming stick. Less tracking, more control. The point isn't to go backward, it's to go inward. Stop assuming the product exists to serve you. Start asking what it takes in return. That strange jitter at startup? That second when the TV seems to hesitate? Maybe it's not a glitch. Maybe that's the sound of your viewing becoming their data source. It's okay to be disturbed. Moments like these don't need false comfort. They need awareness and a little willingness to pause before pressing play again. A rainy Sunday afternoon, curtains closed, microwave popcorn half burned, but you're okay with it. You sit on the worn spot of your couch, remote in hand, scrolling through endless rows of thumbnails. The streaming war is in full swing, platforms fighting for your time, your dollars, your loyalty. But what they really want is your data, because that glowing rectangle sitting in your living room isn't just feeding you shows, it's feeding off you. Most people don't read the permission pop-ups anymore. You've probably skipped past them too. Not out of laziness, but because you've quietly learned that you can't win. The screen says, "Accept to continue," or "Improved functionality may require certain information." Translation: give a little more of yourself, or lose convenience. And we all know how the trade ends. Here's something the average buyer doesn't realize. Smart TVs call home, frequently, automatically, often during the night. Even when unplugged, many models remain in low-power standby mode with active Wi-Fi connections. They ping servers, ping manufacturers, ping third-party analytics tools you've likely never heard of. Ever heard of Samba TV, Inscape, Gracenote? They're not platforms you use. They're silent collectors sitting behind your shows, mapping what you're doing, when you're doing it, which shows you're watching, who's likely watching with you based on group behavior data, and building an invisible version of you to sell. And the irony? They'll sell it back to the networks, back to the retailers, back to advertisers who use your preferences to target your household better next time. So if your homepage occasionally feels scarily accurate, it's not intuition, it's architecture. One quietly infamous case from late 2023 involved a Vizio model that was tracking household data, including what cord cutters watch through HDMI input, and selling that metadata hourly to several ad networks. You didn't need to be watching Netflix. Just plugging in a PlayStation or laptop through an HDMI cord was enough to get flagged, logged, and lumped into an ad segment. It gets precise. An entire industry now exists around predicting behavior from screen habits. If you pause often during tense scenes, you're likely anxious. If you binge true crime late into the night, some models infer stress. Too many romantic dramas in your feed? It categorizes relationship vulnerability. All of this happens beneath the surface. So here's the question. Do you know what your TV knows about you? Because it's less about the hardware and more about the invisible software ecosystems you're letting in through the front door. Tizen, Google TV, Roku, WebOS, Fire TV? These aren't just interfaces, they're full-blown data platforms, each one with its own analytics stack, policies, fingerprinting techniques, device IDs, cross-app tracking systems. And yes, your anonymous profile can absolutely be re-identified. A 2024 study by Princeton researchers found that with just 7 smart TV behavior markers, volume changes, remote pause speed, menu navigation rhythm, typing patterns, etc., a system could relink a supposedly anonymous user to a known identity 86% of the time, 86%. Forget facial recognition, you're already recognizable by how you scroll. Of course, the brands won't tell you this in the commercial. They'll show you clean design, friendly UIs, floating bubbles of content that match your mood. They'll call it intelligent curation or AI-driven recommendations. But it's not just about what they're showing you anymore. It's about why they're showing it and to whom. If you're a parent and your child walks in while you're watching TV, that smart interface begins shifting algorithms silently leaning toward more Toy Story, less HBO. If the mic hears deep voices rather than higher register tones, it reshapes ad preferences toward male interests. The TV isn't just a screen, it's a silent survey that never stops. The horrifying elegance of it all is how normal it feels. We told ourselves smart meant helpful, but smart started meaning slippery. It meant preprocessors that feed your every watch list back to central engines. It meant systems learning when you're most vulnerable. Tired at midnight, hungry midday, disengaged in the background. And those are the moments you're most persuadable. Ad fatigue lowers your guard. Emotional scenes lower your defenses. Quiet mornings without conversation make you more open to ambient influence. So yes, they place ads based on what you like, but they run them during moments when you're least likely to resist. There's psychology at play here, and decades of lab testing behind every button you press. In light of that, what do you do with all of this? Smash your TV? Probably not. We live in a connected world. Stories move through glass now. Living screenless would be like unplugging from language itself. But what is within your power is choice. Conscious, awkward, occasionally inconvenient, but deeply human choice. You can start by buying smarter, not flashier, not newer smarter. Ask questions before the box ever shows up on your porch. Is this model built on a platform that lets me disable data sharing? Are the privacy settings buried or surfaced early in setup? Can I operate the TV fully in dumb mode? Does it require constant internet validation just to function? And more brands are beginning to listen. Privacy is becoming a selling point again, though quietly, so Panasonic's upcoming models for 2025 include a hardware switch that physically disables mics and cams. Hisense added offline modes on their mid-level lineup. Even a few Roku-adjacent devices now provide toggles for Ad ID resets, though they don't exactly advertise it. But maybe the core idea isn't about what to buy. Maybe it's about what you agree to. Because setup wizards lie. Not in words, but in design. Those cheerful blue arrows gliding across your screen make data sharing feel like progress. The soft tones, default toggles, everything built to nudge you toward accept all and continue. Take 5 minutes. Fight back. Disable a CR if it lets you. Turn off voice assistant features. Deny location access. Install physical mic covers, just like you do for your webcam. And if you have the energy, read the privacy policies. You'd be surprised how many betray the trust they pretend to earn. Sometimes choosing what not to watch is just as powerful as choosing what to play. Not every screen deserves your presence. Not every show is worth your signature. And remember, the smarter the TV gets, the more important it is to stay human. Because in the end, Data doesn't love you. Algorithms don't laugh with you. And that eerie flicker as the TV turns on might just be a reminder that even in your quietest moments, you're never quite alone. Your TV used to be just a screen, a rectangle glowing in the dark. Movies with your dad on Saturday, cartoons bleeding into cereal time, a weather map before school, commercial jingles you still hum. Back then, it was just light. Now it listens. And the saddest part? You didn't even notice when it changed. It used to be your escape. Now you're its data stream. But not all hope is lost. Not when awareness still matters, not when asking the right questions still means something. So before you buy that next TV, stop. Not to fear it, but to feel it. Take a second longer in the store. Touch the frame. Read the box, not just the bold letters, but the faint ones. Look at the back. Ask, where do the ports sit? What buttons exist? Which ones are hidden behind software? Power used to come from pressing on, now it comes from opting out. You can start small. Buy a basic model and add your own brain to it. A streaming stick, a local media server, an HDMI cable from your laptop. The less software baked in, the fewer eyes staring back. Or, if you must buy smart, dig. Not into your pockets, but into the settings. Factory reset before setup. Manual network entry region preferences. Then say no. No to tailored ads. No to behavior insights. No to mic permissions. No to, let us improve your experience. You'll lose some convenience. You might tap an extra button or two, maybe restart an app once in a while. But what you gain is silence. The real kind. The kind that doesn't watch you back. Reclaim that. Because here's what no spec sheet can measure. Peace. Stillness. The permission to watch without being watched. In a world trying so hard to follow you, there's something quietly radical in choosing to be untraceable. Your living room should be a refuge, not a research lab. Your couch, a place of rest, not part of a user testing funnel. Smart TVs want your patterns, but you want one that's smart enough to work. Before you go, hit that subscribe button. We don't just review, we expose. From the hype to the hidden failures to the tricks brands hope you'll never question. So, hit like, tap subscribe, and join the thousands of smart shoppers who already know. Smart spending starts with asking smarter questions.